The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus went into the hills to pray, and he spent the whole night in prayer to God. When day came, he summoned his disciples and picked out 12 of them. He called them apostles: Simon, whom he called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James son of Alphaeus, Simon called the Zealot, Judas son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. He then came down with them and stopped at a piece of level ground where there was large gathering of his disciples with a great crowd of people from all parts of Judea and from Jerusalem and from the coastal region of Tyre and Sidon, who had come to hear him and to be cured of their diseases. People tormented by unclean spirits were also cured, and everyone in the crowd was trying to touch him because power came out of him that cured them all. The Gospel of the Lord. In today's Gospel, we find Jesus calls his 12 disciples, and he calls them the apostles. Before calling his 12 disciples, he went to the mountain to pray whole night to God. Then after prayer, in the morning, he is calling the 12 whom he wanted. There were so many disciples, there were so many people, but he called them whom he wanted. And when we analyze these 12 disciples, this is the basic foundation of the mission of Christ. Why did Jesus call these 12? The reason is to continue the message of salvation of God, to continue the mission of Jesus. Even God, Jesus being God, he cannot work alone everything. He needs people. He needs us. And what type of people are called? Jesus did not call the intellectuals. He did not call the holy ones. He did not call the outstanding ones. He called the ordinary people. But after calling, there is a transformation. And we see there is a change. That is what he called them apostles. So once they are following Jesus, the disciples are transforming themselves. So now, Simon has become Peter. And others, some all did not get the change of names, but some got the change of names. This means once we follow Jesus, once we listen to the call of Jesus, we must change our lives. We must transform ourselves. And for what reason is calling? According to Mark Gospel, chapter 3, verses 13 to 19, if you read, he is calling for the two purposes. The first purpose is to be with him, physically and spiritually, to be with him. The second purpose is to be sent out, to have authority over unclean spirits. So, after being with Jesus, they have to be sent out. That means they have to go to place. To have authority means after with authority of Jesus, they have to cast out demons. They have to heal the sick. So we see here there are two important points. To follow Jesus, there is a disciples of Jesus and there is a leadership of Jesus. So we are called, the disciples are called to become the leaders of Jesus, to become the leaders of the church. So these 12 are representing the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel are representing the whole people of God. So it is the church finally. So Jesus is making a new church. In the Old Testament, God made a new nation, Israel, once all the people came to the Mount Sinai under the leadership of Moses. There God made them new nation, new Israel. All the 12 tribes were there under the Mount Sinai. So now we find here in the New Testament, Jesus also is going to the mountain, not to the Sinai. And there Jesus is calling the 12 and forming a group of 12, recalling the 12 tribes of Israel. So Jesus is making the new church, new Israel, new people of God. And he is going to give to the people the leaders. So that is what we find how it is related with the Old Testament. These 12 are representing the 12 tribes of Israel. That means the whole people of God. And we find there are 3 types of ministries: preaching, teaching, and healing. So these are the ministries they have to do. So these disciples are called to minister the people, to carry the message of Jesus, to heal the sick. And this call is coming from God. This call is not coming from human beings. Jesus is calling whom he wanted. So in the same way, we need to experience our own calls. God has called each one of us today. By baptism, we have been called with responsibilities. So what is our responsibility? Go out to the whole world, proclaim the good news. So this is the mission command to not only to the disciples, this mission command is for everybody, those who have been called by baptism. As we have come here, let us experience God's loving presence. Still, God is our King. Jesus is our King. He is our leader. And still he is also wanting us, he is choosing us to be his leaders, to work in the church, in the society. So let us try to do the best what we can, being the believers of Christ, the followers of Christ. May the good Lord bless us all in this Holy Mass, and we pray for more vocations in the world today. Thus, the disciples of Christ may continue to carry out the mission of God, the message of salvation to the whole world.